All right, well, I suppose we'll move on then to the last segment of the show. Rugby news of the week.
Well, we're just going to talk about there's World Cup squad updates. So this is the main thing. There's been a good bit of news in the World Cup squad department. We're opening with Italy, who off the back of an 85-15 victory over Russia, which was good for them.
Great for Italian confidence, because they were getting their hands on the ball, even like traffic cone. By the second half, yes, it was against traffic cones. The Russians had a lot of quid in them, which was reassuring from an Irish point of view. I'm not worried about them now.
No, the Russians are one of those sides like Namibia who have been so isolated and working away in the background and getting some curious results against the likes of Uruguay, where they actually managed to get a win, but against Italy, a first tier 1 challenge, and it's against the most meek tier 1 opposition, and they got blown away.
But it's something that Italy have no experience of. It's racking up 84 points against anyone. So that's good for Conor O'Shea.
Their attack is definitely much better, and off the back of that game, they have named their 31-man squad. The big news from it is that Ian McKinley, who had been playing backup 10 at the Six Nations, he's the backup guy
backup
in
10/15 sort of, but he's been doing neither really well.
Loose and quite poor, and he's been left out in favour of Carlo Canna, which he's the Zebra 10, and I've been calling for that really for a year. I think it makes all the sense.
You've been calling for moving Tommy to 12 and start Carlo.
I think it's interesting. I like that it's an option now, because Tommy does play more like a 12. Tommy was looking good against Russia. He was looking well. Looking very much
passes.
himself. But Carlo is a kicking option, which Tommy doesn't give. He kicks from hand, and
it just means that then you're relying on
Tito
to be doing all your kicking.
But that's the big headliner. Everything else, it's actually quite a settled side.
It is.
Everything else is quite straightforward from Conor O'Shea. I don't know that we need to go through the whole side.
One thing I would zero in on just how strong their back row is compared to 4 years ago. You're looking at Maxime Banda, Negri, Parise, Pelledri, Stain.
All of them good. All of them great. In fact.
In
fact, not like to being harsh. Their form back row from that bunch is Negri, Pelledri, and Stain. It's so good that they moved Zani to lock. Zani was originally a big number 6, but he's moved into to lock Alessandro Zani, who will likely either start or be behind CC and Bud. But
there's also sometimes they've moved Stain in there as well.
They don't need to. They won't do that. Bram Stain is in there to play in back row, and I think they have every chance with that. I think Mbanda will be lucky to get much game time, but they've given themselves as good a chance as they can of shocking one of the big two, and securing third place, which is the most important thing, by having a really dynamic, really good back row, and coupled with a team that can sort of attack.
Definitely looks more like an attacking outfit than they ever did, certainly 4 years ago. Like even their outside backs, Jaden Hayward's had a great season. Minozzi got a hat-trick at the weekend, and even Padovani came off the bench and grabbed 2.
Bellini on the right wing was good as well for them, so they have options there in that back 3 for sure. The centres, obviously great going forward. I would love to see Benvenuti get in there, maybe at 12 instead of Marisi.
Or if you do that Canna, Tommaso Allen option, then having Benvenuti outside, he's definitely more physical in defence than Campagnaro, which is key.
And then would you move Campagnaro to the wing or Axel?
Maybe maybe move him to the wing. I don't know what. Like, he was linking up very well against Russia, but obviously it's against Russia, and theirs is a curious place where they're going up against South Africa and New Zealand, where they inevitably will get whooped,
probably,
and then they're going up against Namibia and Canada, who they'll probably inevitably whoop them. They're straight in the middle. The only thing that can go wrong is that they slip up and mess it up against.
They could have had a game against Scotland and they got South Africa. So it's kind of just, there's a luck of the draw aspect to them going in as lame ducks this World Cup. But they actually do have, for all of that, it's kind of, Conor O'Shea must be annoyed because they just, it's that draw has kind of fucked them.
It means that there's going to be no charitable improvement, because if it goes all according to plan and according to script, they'll end up third in the group where they belong. And you won't improve in anything. But they have definitely improved this cycle. 100%. When you compare that to what the Italian team that went 4 years ago, it's night and day.
They can attack. And they have much better back rows. So they're dynamic in that loose area. They have guys who can kick. Yeah, I would love to see them experiment with the Canna Allen thing just for the sake of pretty rugby.
Yeah.
But good for them. They named their squad. It's exactly as expected. But yeah, kind of frustrated by that draw.
And unfortunate for Ian McKinley, but especially as Leinster fans. And
his is a great story.
His is a great story.
He quite at the level.
He hasn't really been playing even to his own. Like he was much better for Benetton last year rather than this year, so he's just fallen out of form and kind of deserves his place.
The other World Cup squad news: Argentina have also named their 31-man squad. Coming off that.
A few more notable omissions in this one than
this one is Argentinian rugby Twitter, which is the thing that I found out this week, is going berserk over this. Ledesma is being called every name under the sun. He has omitted Santiago Cordero, of possibly their MVP of the last World Cup, along with Juan Imhoff, who I also haven't seen all year. He's gone. Landajo at scrum half never got a look in. Bertranu never got a look in from scrummy. Diaz Benicia, who has been the incumbent backup 10 who started for the Jaguares, gone. Having started
in favour of the two kind of expat 10s who are applying their trade in France, in Sanchez and Erda Pagetta, the cast man,
and yet Facundo Issa, who has been one of the form
that's the rowers. That's actually the one I don't understand the most. Issa's omission, that's a bit crazy.
For like the likes of Juan Miguel Leguizamon and Ortega Decio has had his moments, but Kramer can cover lock. That's why he's in there. I know. But it's a curious one.
Who's Rodrigo Bruni?
Rodrigo Bruni, I'm not familiar with him.
Better than Facundo Issa?
Probably not.
Don't know.
In terms of their general team, they do have some hope. Their props are really where they're weakest. Juan Figallo is their only tight head who can sort of scrummage. It was good to get Herrera out of there just because he's a penalty machine who can't scrummage as opposed to just an ordinary tight head who can't scrummage.
Yes.
So that probably makes the most sense. But props, they're generally quite weak. Hookers, they're actually quite strong. Cravey and Montoya can play very good loose footy, and they're a source of great go forward from the pack.
And even Sakino behind him is not a weakness. Not the weakness that the props are in the context of scrum.
Guido Petty and Lavanini are pretty locked down as starters. I have my concerns about Lavanini.
Lavanini gets a lot of credit in the bank from loads of people, but I see penalties when I think of him. I see needless, sloppy penalties that he concedes, especially when they're under physical pressure.
And then obviously in the back row, Pablo Matera is their playmaker, their best player. At scrummy, Escura and Cabelli, the only two who are going. Love to see Escura get given a go to start a match.
You're just not a huge Cabelli fan.
Not even a little bit, no.
And
ever since he was a Brumby.
That'll colour you against any scrummy. You're still not giving Nick White his due ever since those Brumbies days. But I'm
kind of right though about Cabelli, haven't I? Compare them to what they were bringing. Like Pichot in 2007 and Landajo in 2015 is like night and day to what Cabelli's bringing at the moment. He's very slow. He's more of a Northern Hemisphere style guy. He box kicks a lot. His distribution game isn't great when he's trying to play quick.
Passes get looser.
And whereas Escura was playing that quick game all season for the Jaguares, he should start. He should get in there.
Considering their only hope of getting anywhere this World Cup, now that their set pieces off a cliff compared to where they were, is to get wide and trust their outside backs who are fire. And I think they have 6 that they're bringing, all of them awesome. It's like you have Malia, Moyano, Delgui, Boffelli, Tukelet.
I'm excited to see as much as it's sad to see Imhoff and Cordero cast aside, I am excited to see Delgui. He was great last year. I'd love to see him in there. Ideally, I'd love to see like Mojano has completely lost me in recent weeks. It's just completely
he's been bundled into touch one too many times.
I would love to see Delgui and Boffelli and Tukelet as a back three. I think that's as strong as they can.
We haven't quite seen Boffelli and Tukelet combining.
Boffelli can play wing. Boffelli started playing wing when Tukelet was undroppable. So absolutely, get Boffelli on the left, Delgui on the right, Tukelet at fullback, and that's strong. And they've been goofing around with Moroni, but I like my classic De La Fuente.
Well, they have Moroni named as a centre.
No, he has been in the centre. That's my thing. I would like my De La Fuente and Orlando combination to go.
I think they are very settled. I think they're
they've been
one of them.
Moroni. They've been playing Moroni at 13 now for the last few weeks. And I want Orlando and De La Fuente together again.
Because they're awesome, and they do have a great understanding, and there is a lot to be said for settled centre partnerships going into the World Cup, especially for a side that's going in without a settled scrum.
They're one of the few sides to have a settled centre partnership. That's an advantage.
It is. Just that level of telepathy that only comes with time. I think that will be the first choice come World Cup time, is what I do believe. And Sanchez will be there, obviously undroppable incumbent 10 with Erda Bajeta as cover behind. It's very, very harsh on Diaz Benicia. I think that he is the least. Well, him and himself and Issa are the two very unlucky ones to miss out, because you'd think
it seems crazy that they put so much time in Diaz Benicia this cycle only to cut him. Like, that doesn't speak to this being part of Ledesma's plan, and speaks more to sort of reactionarily trying to find things.
Well, Ledesma being such a purist and such a scrummaging force that he was, I can't imagine he's satisfied with what he's seeing, because they really can't live with any top scrum.
It's one of those things where, like, and I think this could be a factor with tier 2 sides struggling as well, is all of these little adjustments that you can make. Like, you can't actually get gold from, a rock, like, they're just trying to craft guys who are not at the level into guys at the level. But the problem for so many of these teams is going to be that the top sides are getting so much right. Like, South Africa don't just have Stephen Kitsoff, Beastem Tawira, Vincent Koch, and whoever, Trevor Nyakanye, or whoever they're going to start at tight head. Like, they don't just have those guys, they have those guys being coached at the highest level. England don't just have Maka Vunipola and Kyle Sinclair, they have those guys scrummaging as well as they've ever scrummaged. Cian Ealey and Tyke Furlong, you'd say the same thing. So all of these top sides are not just players at a higher level, but they're actually getting a lot right going into this tournament. So it's so difficult for, like, the tier 2 sides and the sides who are a little lower down, even like Argentina trying to cope with set piece, to make them, like, it takes an effort to make them competent and functional, but then even that isn't good enough against sides who are so elite.
They're traditionally a tier 1 side with, these days, a tier 2 scrum, and that's enough to lose to every other tier 1 side when the chips are down, because forwards win games, and
so it's full of danger for them. So they've named their squad. People are angry about it, and we had said earlier in the show that the writing might be on the wall for them, and I think we'll see what France look like.
This is it. I'm not ready to call it yet, because France have been floundersome for the last 4 years too. But
it's not looking good for Argentina.
Third favourites in my mind going into that pool. And it's up to them to book that trend, and they have done in the past. They have World Cup precedent to go in and shock people, but it feels
like those were better teams.
They were better scrums, for one. They were actually scrummaging as a weapon, and then finishing crisply and cleanly outside. They're missing one or two of those aspects at the moment, namely the scrum.
In the Springbok camp, another call has taken place. It's a curious one because there's different reporting on it. What we know is true is that Wilco Lowe, who had been tight head, Skara Tubeni, a hooker from the Bulls, Dylan Lades, probably outside the biggest outside back,
really versatile one, but just not as flash and as finishery.
And Marco van Staden, who's a back rower, have been cut from the squad. And some outlets, Rugby Pass and others, are reporting that these guys are still in the squad, but South Africa Rugby magazine reported that they are to be cut. And just looking at the names, these are just the guys who I'm about to mention. It seems likely that they will be not making the squad, but it's Lizo Kobaka, Marvin Ori, the lock from the Lions, Thomas du Toit, who had just played loosehead at the weekend, having been a tight head, but obviously they've Trevor Nyakanye can do that anyway. And Andre Esterhazen, who had been at 12 but has fallen behind Francois Steyn in the reckoning. It looks like those guys are, if they're not headed back to their provinces, as was reported by Stafford Rugby Mag, they are not going to be part of the full final squad. And then there's just a couple of injury updates as well. Marcel Coetzee picked up an injury at the weekend and is gone, having surgery, gone for 12 weeks. And the man's luck, he literally got an injury in the run up to the last World Cup as well, that he's never quite fully got he hasn't got a full season since. And now, just on the run up to this World Cup, gone again, pushing for that squad jersey, which he may not have gotten, but it's a kick in the teeth, really.
It's sad, really.
And obviously wish him all the best, but there's no sugarcoating it. It just sucks for him.
It does. And then the other one was Dianti, wasn't it?
Well, this is interesting, is that Razi had said, like, we don't quite know the details of Dianti's injury. Apiwi Dianti, who is obviously, you want the young player of the year to be in the World Cup. If you're the young player of the year, the breakthrough player of the year, you want that guy in the World Cup. And he was last year, and he was a great winger. But what Razi is saying is just that his injury is not progressing as they'd like. He's not going to get used before the World Cup. And then there's every chance that you can't pick a guy who hasn't played all season and bring him as one of your 31, especially when you've depth like South Africa have.
At winger,
taking a risk on a guy who hasn't played all season and putting him on a plane to the World Cup, hoping he's right, is danger city. So it's looking likely that if Iwi Janti, it's just not going to happen for him.
Sad because it's just another all class, all razzle dazzle finisher who's not going to be at the World Cup. It's a shame.
Terrible.
It's joining the illustrious club now. We've got, well, obviously, I was thinking our two Fijian friends,
Ndolo and Magusa.
Yeah, but obviously Damien McKenzie as well.
Yeah,
you could put together a series.
A lot of razzle dazzle.
Yeah,
not making it. Dan Levy, obviously from Ireland, is a 7, but he's not coming either.
Yeah,
it's probably not as sad a story as Coetzee is, just because he is young. He was the breakthrough player last year. He's going to have time to get back at it. But I'm sure
if it's not nice. It's not going to happen for him.
He'll be upset.
Yeah.
From Australia's perspective, we don't have any news on their squad, but we do have a little news story of Michael Cheika hinting that there's a possibility of a Skelton redraft, and that's certainly the way the media read what he was saying, which was that he's not necessarily going to select all from this squad. He could potentially get Skelton in as a bolter, or even Scott Fardy. We don't know.
I think both should be going, and we've made our thoughts on that clear. I think they should both be there and be their starting locks, but maybe not. We don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious to see it. It's obviously a bit of news from Australia's perspective. I think it would very much strengthen their team.
Yes,
if they could get those two in there. But it feels very late in the game to be doing that.
Yeah, they probably should have been there for all of these games. But
From the All Black perspective, we've a little bit of news. Liam Squire, the way the winds are blowing in the press is that Liam Squire, who had been initially selected in the squad but stepped back for personal reasons, for whatever reason, we don't know, and we don't need to know.
Up to, I don't know. Yeah, no, it was something weird. I think he was citing his own physicality. I don't know,
or mentality,
as
the case maybe. He had said to Steve Hansen, he's just not in a place where he can play right now. But it's looking likely that Squire is going to come back into the squad.
No, he already has a lot of minutes under his wing in this 4 years.
And it makes the dropping of Shannon Frizzell make a little more sense, so that they are going to have a 6 who's going to come in, a natural
who's
6.
Who's been there, and been there for them a few times.
And been good.
So, no doubt.
Liam Squire will strengthen that All Black team. Steve Hansen has also said that Richie Mo'unga is okay. There's no panic from the doctor. He did go off with that shoulder injury.
He did,
There's no issue for him. And then just news on a few guys have been released to play Mitre 10 Cup rugby this weekend, which does not mean that they're necessarily cut from the World Cup squad. No, that's decided, but it's not good for them either.
Not necessarily.
To be out of the All Black squad. Brad Weber, Liam Coltman, Josh Ioane, Vaya Fafita, Braden Enor, Atu Molly, Jackson Hamopo, Rico Ioane, Luke Jacobson, all gone. You would expect Hamopo, Ioane could come back in. Fafita and Enor going into this squad, you would have thought both of those guys were going to get a bit more time.
You would have thought so, yeah. Enor especially is so fast, and especially from 13 he's probably their fastest option, and he just hasn't got a run there. A bit of a shame. I know.
And Brad Weber as well. Their two scrummies are so great, but he did have a great season.
He did. But he's going uphill. They have no shortage of scrum halves, and to be honest, even an injury to Aaron Smith doesn't derail them, because you can call up a guy like Weber. So I guess these guys are being released just to get some rugby. But it also it's indicative. Actually, South Africa were doing the same a bit throughout the Rugby Championship with the Curry Cup, and
not too much though. The main guys weren't playing Curry Cup rugby.
No, they weren't.
And these are very much not the main guys themselves. But some of them will be
disappointing for Rico. But given the way their wingers performed, there's no way you can give them that jersey.
They are especially ruthless when it comes to wingers.
They are
less so when it comes to Kieran Reid and their leadership team and their core. But with wingers, they understand wingers. Wingers are your hottest guy, your quickest guy who's going to finish tries. Who's hot at the moment? Get him in there. Rico, you're not hot. You've been great in the past, but we need a winger who's going to score tries. And I
think it's a very healthy approach. I wish Ireland would adopt it a bit more.
I think it's the right approach. I think they get it. They get it on wingers. South Africa do too. You got to just pick your best wingers, because those are the guys who finish all of the work that everyone else has been doing. They're the guys who can get it over the line and make things happen. So that's the little update on the All Blacks. France having a couple of updates. Dumaru is pulled out injured, and Vakatawa has come in to replace him.
Okay,
Vakatawa hasn't played since the 2018 Six Nations for them.
For them, yes. He was playing top tours rugby and doing okay.
He's a very good ball. He's going to offer a little bit more in attack than Dumaru did, and he's going to be another interesting Fijian to throw into that mix.
Yes.
Although I suspect he'll be on the back burner from the squad that they've selected.
Yeah.
The other big news is that Paul Gabriag, the big second row who played against Scotland, put in a dirty cheap shot with a no arms clean out onto the back of a Scot who was lying down.
It was exactly that, a dirty cheap shot.
Yeah,
and he's got his due for it. He got banned, and
he's got a 6-week ban, which would expire on October 6th. Which would mean he would miss the first 3 pool games.
That's what I mean.
So it's
looking bring him?
Extremely likely that they don't bring him.
Yeah.
So that's the way the cookie crumbles.
You know, I like seeing stupidity punished in that kind of way, because it was needless.
You need a few examples, especially with those clean-outs, which they're trying to crap down on now. Just lazy clean-outs of just, I'll throw a shoulder in.
Yeah.
Everybody does it, and it's just going to take a few examples like this to stop it and take it out of the game.
Yeah.
And that's, unfortunately, Gabriag is the
victim here, but he's not example of. He's not the victim. I'm not taking that as the framing. No, he shouldn't have done it. It was stupid, and he's in all likelihood going to miss his World Cup now, which he was primed to go to, because he's been one of their go-to guys in the lock for the last few years.
So that obviously sucks for France. And then finally England, not too much news. It's just that Willie Hines went off injured, Piers Francis went off injured, Rory McConaughey pulled out pre-game injured.
Yes, yeah.
And there's no massive news coming out of that camp, but it's obviously not good. McConaughey in particular just can't seem to get a run out.
He's been
picked the last 2 games and pulled out. So
well, now that once you name your 31-man squad, you just invite these little headaches once injuries start to befall you.
Willie Hines in particular, he's one of 2 scrummies, so he has to run out this weekend. Otherwise they're going to have to adjust their squad. So it's a curious one. That's the England update. And that was the Leinster squads. We have a few. Thanks for watching the Overlap Rugby podcast. If you enjoyed that video, please like down below and subscribe for more videos, and please enter the comment section to join our conversation. Thanks.